Have you ever considered the impact of setting clear boundaries and standards in your life? Boundaries and standards, those seemingly simple concepts, underpin the intricate dance of human interaction. They are, in essence, the invisible lines we draw around ourselves, defining our personal space, our comfort zone. They are the rules we set for ourselves and others, marking out what we deem acceptable, what we are willing to tolerate, and what we simply won't stand for. Imagine, if you will, a man named John. John is an ambitious, hard-working individual, always willing to go the extra mile at work. But over time, John's willingness to always say yes to every task, every request, began to take its toll. He started to feel overwhelmed, exhausted, and eventually burnt out. Why? Because John had failed to set clear boundaries. He allowed his work to spill over into his personal time, leaving him with little room to rest, recharge, and nourish his mental and emotional health. Now consider a different scenario. Imagine if John had established firm boundaries from the start, clearly defining his work hours and ensuring he had time for self-care, relaxation, and hobbies outside of work. He would have protected his mental well-being, maintained his enthusiasm and energy for his work, and prevented the onset of burnout. Boundaries and standards are not just about saying no to others. They're about saying yes to yourself. They're about recognizing your worth and asserting your needs. They're about creating a safe space where you can thrive, grow, and flourish. However, it's important to remember that setting boundaries doesn't mean shutting out different perspectives. It's about creating a balanced life, where you can protect your personal space while still being open to new ideas and experiences. So take a moment to reflect. Are you like John before he set boundaries, or have you already started to establish your own? Remember, clear boundaries are not walls meant to isolate you, but guidelines designed to maintain your mental and emotional health. Clear boundaries are the foundation of a balanced life. Imagine living a life without any standards. Sounds chaotic, doesn't it? Indeed, standards are the unsung heroes of our everyday lives, the invisible threads weaving order into the fabric of our existence. They are the benchmarks we set for ourselves, the measures we use to gauge our actions and decisions, our own personal codes of conduct. Let me tell you a story about a gentleman named John. John was an average man, living an average life. He was content, but he wasn't thriving. He wasn't reaching his full potential, and he knew it. So John decided to make a change. He set a standard for himself, a simple yet powerful one. He decided that every day he would learn something new. It was a small step, but it had a profound impact. John started reading more, attending workshops, listening to podcasts. He sought knowledge like a parched man seeks water, and slowly but surely he began to see improvements. His conversations became more interesting, he started performing better at work, he even started a small business on the side. John was no longer just existing, he was living, and all because he set a standard for himself. Standards act as our compass, guiding us towards our goals. They provide us with a sense of direction, a path to follow. When we set standards, we are essentially setting expectations for ourselves. We are saying, this is what I aspire to be, this is what I'm capable of. But setting standards isn't just about reaching our goals. It's about self-improvement, about becoming the best version of ourselves. When we set high standards, we push ourselves out of our comfort zones. We challenge ourselves, we grow, we evolve. Standards aren't rigid rules set in stone. They are fluid, adaptable, ever-changing. As we grow and evolve, so too should our standards. They should reflect who we are, who we want to be, and where we want to go. Standards are the invisible guidelines that steer us towards success. And in the grand scheme of things, they are what separates a life lived from a life well lived. Scene script. Setting boundaries and standards might seem challenging, but it's simpler than you think. Imagine you're a sculptor and your life is the marble block. Boundaries and standards are the chisel and mallet in your hands. With each swing, you carve out your masterpiece. Now let's discuss practical steps to set boundaries and standards. Step 1. Identify. Ask yourself, what are the areas in your life where you need boundaries? Maybe it's work-life balance, or perhaps it's how you allow others to treat you. For standards, it could be the quality of work you deliver, or the kind of relationships you cultivate. Step 2. Define. Once you've identified these areas, it's time to define your boundaries and standards. This is your non-negotiable line in the sand. It's what you will and won't accept. Step 3. Communicate. This is where the rubber meets the road. You must communicate your boundaries and standards to others. It may feel uncomfortable, but remember, this is your masterpiece we're talking about. Consider the story of Alex, a corporate executive who used to work round the clock, affecting his health and family life. Once he identified his need for work-life balance, he defined his boundary. No work after 7 in the evening. He communicated this to his team, and sure enough, they respected it. Alex not only improved his health and relationships, but also found that his productivity increased during work hours. Or take Lucy, a talented artist who used to undersell her work. She identified her need for fair compensation, defined her standard, no artwork for less than its worth, and communicated this to her clients. Today, Lucy enjoys not just financial stability, but also the respect of her clientele. These individuals took control of their chisel and mallet, setting boundaries and standards that transformed their lives. Each swing brought them closer to their masterpiece. Remember, setting boundaries and standards doesn't mean shutting out the world. It means valuing yourself, your time, and your energy. It's about creating a life that resonates with who you truly are. Setting boundaries and standards is a journey of self-discovery and growth. While firm boundaries and high standards are crucial, should these shut us off from new perspectives? Imagine a well-built castle, its fortifications tall and robust, designed to protect what's inside. But what happens when the drawbridge is never lowered? The castle, while safe, becomes isolated and stagnant. This is akin to having rigid boundaries and high standards without openness to new ideas. Let's explore a tale of a person who struck a beautiful balance between firm boundaries and openness. Meet our protagonist. Let's call him Oliver. Oliver was a man of high standards and clear boundaries. He knew exactly what he wanted in life, and he never compromised on his values. Yet Oliver was also a man of curiosity and openness. One day, Oliver was presented with an opportunity that on the surface seemed to conflict with his set boundaries. It was a job offer in a new city, a city that he had always deemed too chaotic for his taste. But instead of outright rejecting it, Oliver decided to explore this opportunity. He visited the new city, spent time understanding its culture, its people, and its rhythm. Did he stretch his boundaries? Yes, he did. But did he compromise on his standards? Not in the slightest. Instead, he redefined his boundaries to incorporate this new experience while maintaining his standards. He took the job, moved to the new city, and guess what? It turned out to be the best decision he ever made. Oliver's story is a testament to the power of balancing firm boundaries with openness. He didn't abandon his standards or compromise on his values, but he was flexible enough to adapt his boundaries, to let his castle drawbridge down and explore the unknown. This balance didn't dilute his identity or standards, but rather enriched them. It led to both personal and professional growth and, ultimately, a more fulfilling life. Balancing firm boundaries with openness to change is the key to an enriching life. As we journey through life, the importance of setting boundaries and standards becomes quite clear. In our exploration today, we've delved into powerful concepts that shape our lives dramatically. We began by understanding the pivotal role boundaries play in our lives. Boundaries, as we've come to understand, are not walls of seclusion, but rather markers of respect for our personal space and mental health. They serve as a protective shield, allowing us to maintain our individuality and dignity, while still participating fully in the world around us. We then ventured into the realm of standards, those guiding principles that lead us through life's myriad decisions. Standards are not rigid rules, but flexible guidelines that help us navigate our path. They are the compass that keeps us aligned with our values, ensuring we stay true to ourselves even amidst the whirlwind of life's complexities. The art, however, lies in setting these boundaries and standards. It's a process that requires deep introspection, understanding of self, and the courage to assert what we believe in. It's about defining our space, shaping our behavior, and establishing what we will and won't accept. But let's not forget the delicate balance we must maintain. While boundaries and standards are crucial, We also discussed the importance of openness. We must never let our boundaries become impenetrable walls, or our standards turn into inflexible dogmas. Openness to change, to different perspectives, is what keeps us growing, evolving, and learning. So, as we conclude, let's remember that our boundaries and standards are not meant to confine us, but to free us. They are not limitations, but the foundation for our growth. They are the pillars that support our mental health, guide our decisions, and foster our personal development. Remember, your boundaries and standards are your personal power. Harness them wisely and you'll witness a transformation in your life.